Okay, hello everyone. This video is to cover the updated rig that I made for EFT, like making weapon stuff. I've updated some of the stuff, I reworked it. Mostly it's just going to be IK, and there are a couple of changes. Primarily, the first thing being that it's made so you don't have to make animation anymore. You can just combine the weapon rig into the control rig and then just like work from there. So they change a couple of stuff. Uh, it's divided into two different collection. There's exportable collection and then there is non-exportable. Basically, exportable is like all the base bones from EFT. And then the non-exportable one is just helper bone essentially. I'm using this for because of the reason of the deform, which if you were to export it, you can see the option of like armature and then like only different bones. I take advantage of this so that you just work on one single rig, but when you export, it's only the deformation bones that get exported. So I will try to cover uh, on how to work with this. First, I will try to cover on like setting up the rig and stuff for like making animation from scratch, stuff like that. And then the next one I will try to cover on like how to modify existing animation in a sense, uh, so that in case you don't want to remake anything from scratch but you just want to make or modify existing BSG animation to fit your needs. Okay, this session will cover on how to set up the rig, essentially in the control rig from like your weapon rig. So as per usual, what you want to do is import a weapon rig that's like something that you want to base off your weapon. In here, it's the example that I have. I'm just going to use BSG Marlin weapon mostly because I will also cover on how to sort of reuse BSG animation in the control rig in a sense. But for now, think of this as just like a new different weapon that you want to pair up in the control rig and whatnot. So what you want to do is first, it's like let's clean up the armature for a bit. Just remove this. Make sure it's like in idle position. Or why it's like a bit weird idle wise. Let's see. Right. So that's in idle. It's everything is clear. Next step is to click on your weapon and then click on the control rig. Run this script, merge clean armature. You run it. Now it will combine, well, not combine, but like it will duplicate and then combine it essentially. So as you can see, it's it's combined in here. So basically, what this is it's a it grabs the weapon root and all of the children, reparent it into the control rig essentially. So if you're going to over here, you can see that you can ignore the human stuff. As you can see, it will just like the one that exists under the weapon as a children, it will get reparented into our control rig instead of the weapon rig. So this is basically what you do, like the first step. And then what you want to do is just like clean up, maybe like reposition something. Let's, for example, like maybe just like you want to do this or like do something else. What I would usually do is just create a collection. So, wrong one. You can name this collection anything, but I just use it for like clearance sake. I just name it as like maybe trigger, lever, hammer. Like, mostly just the moving part, and then you can probably just like add a miscellaneous, which is the mod attachment. Each one shell, and then shells. Now it's something that you need to remember. Very important part. We are using this checklist or checkbox to create a difference of like which get exported and which doesn't get exported. I've already set up everything to be like using this specific checkbox. As you can see, this is the goal that we control. The reason why I have two separate band goal is mostly because the original goal is like parented to be weapon bone, and it's a bit annoying if you need to like reposition it every now and then. So I just create a separate one. So this like if you want to add anything, you just copy or duplicate the bone from like the existing bone, maybe like mod mount, maybe like put it here as like a mod muzzle, or like mod like front, maybe put it here like something like that. Make sure like the make sure you just copy from like existing one. Like this, for example, this one does not have a difference, so you can copy it if you want to add like a helper bot. Now, technically, for some, you don't need to create a helper bone. It depends on like the weapon parts. Most of the time, if it's like attached to the weapon itself, you don't have to create a helper bone. You can just directly use it. But if it's like ammo, shell pod, or like something that can get detached from the weapon and like essentially just like can move individually, you need to create a helper bone. So, for example, this mod charge, it's not moving because like it's parented to the armature, the original one. Hold on, let me see. Where's the set up? Control rig, do the inverse, go back and see if it's moving now. So, since this part of the weapon does not get disconnected and it's just gonna stays with the weapon, you can just use it as is. Yes, here, here. Oops, yes, so I've done it. I forgot that I think this. Put it there, and then put it there. So I put it in the collection. I'm just gonna use a random shape. Yeah, maybe like this will do. Yeah, this will do. And like you can just use it directly, and you put it for like uh organizing. Say, just put it under exportable bone because you do need to export this bone, and then where is it? Uh, Let's see something else. Let's go with Patreon or the bullet. I should have done that. I forgot. I forgot that Blender new bone collection system is really iffy to use, but it's good in a sense that you can organize it by specific name, I guess. But it is a bit annoying to use. And then for miscellaneous, we can just put it under here, one that doesn't need to move. So all we have is just the moving parts. Because I use some weapon part can still be used as is, but like for parts that requires to be separated from the weapon, like the ammo or other parts, depending on what parts you have on the weapon, you have to create a helper bone that essentially takes control of it. Right. So this we essentially categorize our bones, sort of. The next thing is we'll probably try to move. Okay. Oops, I think that's. Hold on. Yeah, I forgot about this one. So this thing is enabled. What I want you to do is probably just disable this because this is basically what it's merging with. So disable that. One thing I do learn is that this is better be placed somewhere near the center of the gun. Right. So this should be positioned towards what we want. So we can go ahead, enable that back, and then set the inverse, and then we can just hide it again. If this is okay, I don't know why it's not clicking. Hold on. Let's always do this. Hmm, there we go. The inverse, I forgot about that one. Right. So this is basically just like setup for like the weapon stuff. Uh, because we still haven't done the shell port and the pattern weapon. So what I am going to do is duplicate this bone, call it Patreon control or like shell port control or like whatever you want it to be named. Just make sure like it's something you remember. I name it that. Change the thing. It's a bit too big. That's good enough. Rotate this by that amount. This is gonna be the Patreon. I'm gonna move this bit. Uh, Copy the rotation, name the rotation. Fill that down. I'm gonna rotate this by 45 just so I can get a distinction from the shell pod. Then what I'm gonna do is do this. Now, reason why I'm creating a helper bone for the Patreon is because the Patreon is connected to the weapon root. Another weapon root, but like the weapon bone itself. And because it's connected, if you're trying to do a specific animation with like the hands and the Patreon, it's gonna be a bit difficult to work with. Basically, I did that, and then I just like create a collection. No, convention. Assign that here. Remove that from there. The Patreon can be removed from the main layer because we are not gonna touch that. We won't be touching that anymore since we're only gonna use it from here. And we do the same with the shell code. Right. Now we just have to copy this into you can copy this to you can child of constraint this to like weapon control. And that when we apply our child of into the control master. And then every part should be moving properly. But we still haven't moved our well not move but like attach our stuff here. Sometimes it's a bit weird on whether to get position, but like make sure you enable the keep transform when you're trying to bind the weapon parts. And now with this, every single part should be moving. There we go. All the important parts are attached to the control rig, and then the attachment is properly connected. The thing is also connected. There we go. Copy that. There. And here as well. And you know, that's carrier. That thing is just for that. Right. So with this, our rig is essentially ready to be animated and ready to be exported. As for exporting the rig, every single bone, the one that is a helper bone, which is should be like non-exportable, should have the deform checklist disabled. For example, here, as you can see with some of the bones, they have this thing enabled and disabled, as I previously explained. The one that you want to be in the weapon must be enabled. The one that you don't want to be exported must be disabled. Helper bone, stuff like that gets disabled. Then like the important part get enabled. So essentially, what shouldn't get exported is this control, Patreon, helper bone base, the goal, twist, gun root, hammer control, master control, IK mark dot R and mark L, the fake one, the twist target. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 bones should not be exported. The one that should be exported is just like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's try that. Make sure we select the important parts. We go to export. Let's make sure selected object is enabled. Uh, Scale 1, FBX all, this will be fine. Armature, enable this. Armature to enable this as well. Animation, we don't have animation, so we're gonna skip that. Testing FBX. Rig. Wait till it export, but because like it doesn't have animation, it's gonna export very quickly. And then we will see if it export properly in the Unity. Okay, we've opened up our Unity. We are going to see if our exported FBX is properly exported. So please see, and then as you can see, only the collarbone, R, camera, and then weapon root. And that should be fine. I think that should be anything to worry about. And then we'll put it here. We should have the proper hierarchy. Yes, it does. And that's basically the that's the export it. Just make sure to check the deform bone on so that it only export the deformation bone, which is the one that is needed by the game. The one that doesn't have deformation is just like to help us animate and stuff. And then like after you're done animating, after you're done posing, you export it. And that's basically how you do it. Okay, welcome back to our second section where we are going to reuse BSG's animation. Uh, we're going to use the previous setup that we made for like exporting the animation. Well, not exporting the animation, but like exporting the rig into Unity and checking if it's right. How to like merge it and then like set it up in the control rig so that you can work everything in there. So I missed a couple of steps before, primarily on posing your weapon into BSG's pose. You need to do this only if you're trying to reuse BSG's animation and like make adjustment with it. So what I'm gonna do first is re-import the weapon rig. I'm just gonna disable the animation for the Marlin. Okay, it's imported. There. Say pose rough. Next step is to copy the position of the eye case. That copy location, rotation, rotation, and then do the same with this. You just make sure that the armature itself is on a rest pose because it's basically like the default pose for the animation taken data. Let's just copy everything here. I want it to be as similar as possible. The reason why I'm doing copy visual is because like it's the visual of the rotation. Basically, it's like technically it's copying the transform as well. So probably better to actually do that. Hold on, let me see. Oops, not that. So that's basically it. We've positioned our stuff to be the same. Next step is to apply the rest pose to our change position. Make sure it's just like the bones that you move that you pasted over in the other one. Like that. Forget to apply to this as well. Next is the constraint. Since most of the stuff is like technically moved by the weapon bone, the pen goal IK stuff for the goal, we'll just need to add a child off, put it with the weapon universe there, put it there as well. And then I'm gonna move you here. Move that. Oops. That. Because that's connected there. Like that. Remove that specific thing because the weapon one is the control. Move that here. And then reapply it again. Put the inverse there. Be fine. Everything should be perfectly fine and dandy. Like, you can see like it's just changed there. I think I know why. I should probably also apply it to this as well. There we go. As there is a bit of a finicky with some of the IK stuff. Technically, it's best if you were to apply it to the original one as well, but it'll be fine. I'm gonna apply it to this one as well because there is a bit of a finicky that's going around. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. There, but I can probably ignore that. Okay, so we will now be trying to transfer the animation. Let's go back to there. Let's use the simple one, which is the inspect. As you can see, there is something a bit wrong, but this is the original one. We already copied the position of a response. This is just straight up from BSG's animation data. So reveal that. Here, copy that. Keyframe, copy. Keyframe, copy. And it's moving, but we are also missing some stuff. So go here, copy everything in here. Keyframe the hands, put it there. From that, copy everything here, paste it, and then voila. We are now technically using BSG's animation. The camera probably won't be moving, but just disable this. And if you go to the first person, you will see it. There we go. Now we are using BSG's animation. Now, we are already using it. If you were to want to modify the animation, maybe like you want to put something there or something different, the way to do it, there are two ways technically. You can directly change it in the animation keyframe, or you can do it through the NLA editor. So for example, maybe you want to change with the this one, the look. You push the animation down, make sure it's selected, push it down, press N, nothing, hold forward, blending with the replace. It's a regular blending. So this is the setting you want to use it. And then we create our new action. Name it anything you want, just make sure it's like something you remember. How about look, adjustment layer? So click here, extrapolation, hold, forward. Blending is add. We don't have anything in here. Let's keyframe it. As you can see, nothing is happening because we haven't done any adjustment. Now, if you were to like, maybe you want to change it a bit. Maybe you want the hand to be a bit forward. Like maybe you want it to be, just use this as a point of reference. Maybe you want the hand a bit forward. Maybe you want to like change a bit position wise. Yeah, forward a bit. There. There. Reminder, because like all the stuff is gets controlled by the weapon bone, I do really recommend that you have a helper bone to help with like rotation and stuff. Technically, you really shouldn't use the constraint to this because like technically you can just use this as a helper bone to like rotate, reposition and stuff. But we can just probably ignore that. So let's go back to our thing. Do that. Something that you need to remember when doing this type of adjustment through the NLA editor, basically you have this default pose, the rest pose, or like the default first frame. You want to make sure that after you've done adjustment of like specific places, the end must go to the first frame. So you want to end the animation with the frame from the first very frame from this. For example, like, okay, the hand goes forward, back, maybe a little bit like there. And once you like want to end it, you copy the first frame, put it like somewhere that's appropriate. Like that's a bit too far. Like remember, you're technically adjusting, so it's a bit finicky because if you try to like blend in, it's just gonna do the see. So try to use bones as a help. That's a bit too ugly. There you go. And then that's blended. You've adjusted the animation. You forgot to change this back. Right? Let's put it here. Yeah, you've adjusted the animation for a bit. Make sure you go back and see if like there is something wrong with the keyframe. As remember, you want to go back to the original frame. And there you go. You basically adjusted the animation. Now you can see the changes made. For example, here, like if I were to just, there you go, see? You see the changes? So basically what you want to do next is to bake the animation. Or like bake the adjustment layer. So you F3, bake action, disable that. Disable this because technically we're using the constraints, so we want to keep the constraint on because if you were to use this, it's basically applying the transformation on top of the constraint. So just disable this basically. Do this, this, this. Location and rotation, we don't need scales unless you need that, but we don't need it. And then click OK, make, look adjusted, and then we'll see the difference. So there you go. There's a difference. There, there. You can see the difference very clearly. And so you can see, let's go back to the original look because apparently this thing's a bit iffy. Okay. Position adjusted. That's a side by side. This is the original look, and then this is the modified look. So this is the modified look. You can see it's there, like the adjustment is there. We have made sure that the first. Oh, it seems I forgot to change that frame. Oh well, but you can see the difference. So again, make sure that everything goes back to the original position before you bake. So that's basically an extra bit on how to adjust animation through the NLA editor. Yes, so that's how you do it. That's how you adjust animation and how to use BSG's animation as well. So remember, uh, make sure you do the following, which is first, you want to pose the control rig to the same pose as BSG's weapon rig. Make sure it's in pose mode. Well, not pose mode, but rest mode. So click here. Make sure that this thing is in rest. The next thing is to like on the stuff you've posed. So several bones needs to be rest moded. So for example, the IK mark for both the BSG's real one and then the controlling one. So IK mark, weapon RIK marker, goal, bend goal, and then like, yep, those stuff, including the hand marker as well. These, what is it? Yeah, this one as well. Make sure they are posed on the same pose as BSG. After that, you can Control A, apply selected as rest pose. And don't forget the finger as well because they are necessary. But yeah, that's basically. After that, you can just copy the animation from the uh, the original one, the original bones, and then use it in the modified bones specifically from the control rig. Now let's use another one. Let's see ammo in. So I'm just gonna use from the graph. Copy that. Keyframe paste. Keyframe. Copy that. Paste. Keyframe. Copy a keyframe paste. Copy keyframe paste. Everything should be pasted. I forgot about this. Technically, this is ammo, so copy that. Patreon paste. I forgot that it's technically, yeah. There you go. And this thing is still using that. There you go. It seems this is using a. Let me see this. Ah, this is using a quaternion. No wonder why it's not moving. Do that. Paste it. Frame it first. Paste it. There we go. There we go. Now it's moving. And then you can just adjust it and whatnot And that's pretty much it on how to use the recent rig on like making use of like BSG existing animation and adjusting it. After that, you can just export it the same way as what we did in the previous section.